Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Menyo. President-elect Donald Trump on Saturday named Brooke Rollins as the country's next Secretary of Agriculture. Trump named the native Texan as his pick to lead the U.S. Department of Agriculture in the next administration. A native of Texas, Rollins, 52, is a founder and CEO of America First Policy Institute and America First Works, a pair of organizations that have championed Trump's agenda. Rollins will take over the department with more than 100,000 people, a $213 billion budget, and more than 3,000 county offices. USDA is responsible for the country's main nutrition support programs, school lunches, farm programs, and rural economic development. Rollins will also lead the Trump administration's efforts to advise the next Congress on what should be included in the new Farm Bill. One of the early decisions for the next Ag Secretary also likely will consist of determining how to disperse an aid package for farmers currently being crafted in Congress. The Biden administration this past week proposed a $24 billion disaster package for farmers and rural infrastructure. Rollins also was a member of Trump's Economic Advisory Council in 2016. In a statement, Trump said, Rollins did an incredible job during my first term as the director of the Domestic Policy Council, director of the Office of American Innovation, and assistant to the president for strategic initiatives. In these roles, she helped develop and manage the transformational domestic policy agenda of my administration. Trump's transition team stated, Brooks' commitment to support the American farmer, defense of American food sufficiency, and restoration of agriculture-dependent American small towns is second to none. Rollins has a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture from Texas A&M University and a law degree from there as well. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Big change in the weather pattern coming to Ohio this week. Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio forecast update. Overall, we're starting things off pretty nice. Honestly, yesterday's temperatures, mild by comparison to what we're going to be seeing later this week. So nice temperatures even here today as we're stuck in this warmer air mass. Difference for today versus yesterday, cloud cover. Clouds are going to be pretty thick today, and I will not rule out on again, off again, light precipitation. It will be rain. I think we can see a few hundreds to a few tenths, coverage about 80% of the Buckeye State, especially as we head toward midnight tonight. The clouds will break up tomorrow. I think we see better sunshine potential, but temperatures a little bit cooler than what we're seeing today, and we're definitely going to be seeing the coldest air in over northern parts of Ohio. We followed it up with a Wednesday that starts partly sunny, clouds increasing in the afternoon, and we'll deal with precipitation overnight Wednesday night through Thanksgiving Thursday, at least midday. Low pressure is tracking right now across portions of central and southern Kentucky. I think that's going to create mostly a rain event here, but probably ending as snow for a late morning and midday Thanksgiving Day. Is it going to be a problem for travel? I don't think so, but we'll keep an eye on it. Cold air definitely wants to stay here behind that system for late next week, Friday the 29th, if you're going to go out and shop, Saturday the 30th, and then Sunday the 1st. Cold air is here, and we get a reinforcing shot into the following week. Well below normal temperatures, probably seeing some lake effect snow in there, and maybe another clipper system for Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. So we're going to be seeing on again, off again snow here definitely through this weekend and upcoming week. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Joining me, David Marison, Field Specialist, Farm Management, OSU, and we're talking about planning for the future of your farm. David, how many different ways are there that we can now sit down and learn more about farm planning based on our schedules?
Traditionally, Extension has been providing programs through in-person workshops, and this is no different. We have a 6-hour, so this is pretty intensive to really get your wheels turning to think about farm transition, estate planning. So it is a 6-hour course. Traditionally hold those across the state. If we look at between November and next March, we have 7 of these in-person workshops across the state. But we also understand COVID was the big moment in time where we went into online Zoom work. So we have started since COVID a Zoom workshop where we allow families to do this entire workshop via Zoom, but it's live. So wherever you are, you could be in Florida, you could be here in cold, wintry Ohio in February. For the last 4 years, every Monday evening in February, we do the workshop live via Zoom. And then as many family members that want to attend, for one price, you come in, you do the workshop together, do it from Zoom wherever you are. And if you miss a session, that's okay because we tape it and then you watch it whenever you want. But also we understand people love to do their courses online at a time and a place, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe first thing in the morning, maybe over lunch each day. In January, a new workshop's coming out, online workshop, where you can do the workshop at your pace, whenever you want to do it, but still have the advantage to meet up with the instructors in what I would call like the old college recitation classes. We would offer time, and you could jump on and ask the questions of the material as you move through it. So 3 different options, trying to meet people where they are in their place.
Find out how you can participate in any of the 3 different styles coming up. You can go to go.osu.edu/farm succession. I've been visiting with David Marison, field specialist for farm management at OSU. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
The cattle and calves on feed in the slaughter market in the United States for feedlots with a capacity of 1,000 head or more had 12 million head on November 1, 2024. The inventory was slightly above November 1 of a year ago, as NAS reported on Friday. Placements into feedlots during October totaled 2.29 million head, 5% above that of a year ago. Net placements were 2.23 million head. During October, placements of cattle and calves weighing less than 600 pounds were 585,000 head. 900 to 999 pounds were 215,000 head, and 1,000 pounds and greater were 80,000 head. Marketing of fed cattle during October totaled 1.85 million head, 5% above last year. Friday's November 1 cattle on feed report came in almost identically to how the pre-report estimates had figured, with the only minor change being the placement data. That according to DTN livestock analyst Shaylee Stewart. It was relieving to see the total on-feed numbers were less than a percentage point greater than last year's totals at 11.986 million head. I think it's worth noting that there have only been 3 times since 2015 that the on-feed totals for November 1 have exceeded 11.9 million head, and that was in 2020, 23, and now 24. But it is understanding that the drought situation in the countryside, an increase in placements, which consistently affects the total number of cattle on feed nationwide, makes perfect sense. The states that saw the greatest month-over-month increases for on-feed totals were Colorado up 6%, Minnesota up 5%, Nebraska up 5%, Oklahoma up 6%, South Dakota up 12%, and Washington up 6%. And when looking at the placement data, there wasn't one single weight group that didn't see greater placements than compared to 1 year ago. And the National Pork Producers Council celebrated the U.S. Senate's unanimous passage of the Beagle Brigade Act, which provides statutory authority and reliable funding to the National Detector Dog Training Center. American agriculture relies on the National Detector Dog Training Center to prevent the introduction of foreign animal and plant diseases that would cripple our food supply, said NPPC president and pork producer from Easton, Minnesota. For the pork industry, the Beagle Brigade is the first line of defense for keeping threats from foreign animal disease like African swine fever out of the United States. America's pork producers greatly appreciate Senator Ernst and Senate champions for the House to take this up before the end of the year. I'll be back with markets after this.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Did you know that soybean meal is the number 1 protein source used in aquaculture worldwide? Global fish consumption has nearly doubled in the last 40 years, making aquaculture the fastest growing sector of food production. Rich in protein content and highly digestible, soybean meal is an environmentally sound solution to feed the growing global demand for nutritious seafood. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Joining me is Jack Cornell, United Soybean Board. Jack, thanks for visiting with us today. As you look at the big picture for producers, what should be on their mind as we look to the soybean industry?
They should really focus in on enhancing their profitability on what they can do on farm as we kind of face these lower commodity prices moving ahead.
How many options are there to be able to do that? Are you focusing on 2 or 3, or every farmer's different?
Well, there's lots of different ways to kind of cut this apple, right? So one of the things is we look at earlier planting. Could be an opportunity where we actually are looking at nitrogen sequestration. As you plant earlier beans, you get actually greater root depth. You actually enhance your ability to take nitrogen out of the atmosphere, put it into the soil. You also are covering that fallow period where there's no plants on the ground. And so that might be an opportunity for enhanced profitability for farmers, because a lot of these companies are looking for opportunities to offset their greenhouse gas emissions. And so providing those windows and opportunities for farmers to get profit through some of these on-farm practices is a potential opportunity.
Farmers for Soil Health, where can we find more information online?
FarmersForSoilHealth.org, and what you do is you have your zip code in there. It'll have your technical advisor's phone number, right? So it'll give you somebody you can text, you can call, that will help you on farm to understand how you can leverage some of these opportunities.
FarmersForSoilHealth.org is where you can gather more information. Thanks for the update.
And time now for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mixed on Friday. As we take a look back at the reasons, we first have to look at the numbers. Corn was down fractionally to about 1.50 pennies. Soybeans worked their way higher, 5 to 8 cents. And then we saw bean oil down with bean meal up. Wheat markets were lower, 1 to 4 cents, with the biggest losses coming in the Chicago marketplace. Let's start on the side of soybeans. Main reason for the positive close to the week last week, well, let's be honest, we didn't close positive for the week. We had a positive close on Friday to finish the week. Anyway, it was mostly because China's Sinograin came in and bought about 8 to 10 cargoes of U.S. soybeans for early February delivery. China is said to have bought 1.5 million to 3 million metric tons of Brazilian corn, though, for July and August. And that was one of the reasons why corn didn't play with the soybeans as of last Friday. Keep in mind, December options went off the board last Friday. That was a play in corn marketing as well. As we look at the option expiration, this week's participation will probably be even less due to the fact that we've got a shortened holiday week. I would venture a guess that for today and tomorrow, we're going to be working with about 60% of total trader volume. And then you get Wednesday, Thursday, well, markets are closed Thursday, but Wednesday and Friday, there's going to be very little trader participation in these markets. Turkey Day always gives us a lackluster batch of volume. Now, that can make life interesting. Low volume trades sometimes can be very volatile trade, but we will see what happens this week. It's a first notice day for December futures here this week, as we're seeing most traders try and clean up their December corn and wheat and soy product length. Brokers are telling us that last Friday, Managed Money purchased about 1,100 contracts of corn, 4,100 contracts of beans, sold 2,500 contracts of Chicago wheat. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight to start the week, December corn down 1 1/4 pennies at $4.24 1/4. March is down 1 penny at $4.34 1/4. The January beans are up 6 at $9.89 1/2. March also up 6 at $9.98 1/4. If you wanted to carry them all the way to May next year, you're up 5 3/4 at $10.11 1/2. The December wheat's down 3 3/4 at $5.40 1/2, while July new crop is down 4 at $5.78 3/4. On the livestock front, December cattle $186.77, up $1.17. February up 77 cents at $188.20. December lean hogs $81.67, up 87. February up $1.02 at $85.67. March feeder cattle up $1.02 at $253.12, while April feeder cattle are up $1.22 at $254.35. Thanks for joining us. More ag news always on our website at ohioagnet.com. Thanks for joining us. This is the Ohio AgNet.